It's truly amazing the fun things you come across when you're just willing to take a detour. So we were driving near the town of Camp Verde in central Arizona, within the Montezuma Castle National Monument, and lo and behold, we find the Montezuma Castle. The residents built this by using a natural alcove, which we can see, and they constructed 20 rooms within that alcove. It's amazing. Southern Sinagua farmers built this 5-story dwelling into the cliffs. We learned from research that 45 rooms once occupied this cliff face. This area is absolutely filled with super tall sycamore trees. Beaver Creek runs right through this valley, so they had plenty of water, lots of wildlife, and vegetation for eating and for trading. So this community lived in Verde Valley, and it's such a beautiful place to live in. I can only imagine how beautiful it must be any other time but the winter, which is when we were there. It almost felt like we were there in the fall, but it really was midwinter. It's just such a mild climate. It was delightful to be there. The weather was perfect. Every time we find something spectacular or super interesting, David uses that place to create one of his Bible teachings. This has been fascinating to come and see and read about. And we also heard from a park ranger, some of the history, and all I can say is it's always worth it to take that little detour and see what used to be here. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would sure appreciate if you would do it today. And now for a bonus. And then we came across Montezuma Well, which is a collapsed and underground limestone cavern. Even in times of regional drought, about 1.6 million gallons, 6 million liters of water flow through 2 main vents at the well's bottom each day. The amount is fairly regular, and the temperature is a near constant 74 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius. In addition to the well itself, there are several ancient ruins and petroglyphs in the area.
There are no fish here because there's 80 times higher levels of dissolved carbon dioxide than in most lakes, making life impossible for fish. So there's a real interesting habitat here, and there's creatures here that are found nowhere else on the planet.
So let me tell you a little bit about the well, especially as we have quite a few steps to take to get down to it. This area around the well has a rich history of human habitation, dating back over 1,000 years. The Hohokam people are believed to have been the first to settle here, followed by the Sinagua people, who constructed cliff dwellings at Montezuma Castle, which you just saw, and they utilized the well for irrigation and sustenance. It is important to note that Montezuma Well is not associated with the Aztec Emperor Montezuma. The name was mistakenly attributed to the site by early European American settlers. There are quite a lot of steps you'll have to take, so make sure you wear some pretty good sturdy shoes. If you're willing to take the time to take all those steps down, you actually come to the level of the water, and then, lo and behold, you're going to see some of these cliff dwellings. And the water moves through a 150-foot long underground passageway created by water dissolving the porous travertine. It emerges outside of the well above Wet Beaver Creek.
takes about 7 minutes to flow from here out into the canal at the outlet. Wow, look at this. Can you imagine living in this? It would be very dark. But people lived here. And as always, somebody wrote on the rocks, which is very sad. Not quite like the homes we have today, huh? But there's several rooms you can see. I was just talking with some people who are also visiting how very tranquil and peaceful it is here. And you're right close to the water. The entire world with its natural beauty also surrounds us here at Montezuma Well by volunteer Jack Beckman. Every day when I look in each direction, I see something new and wonderful at Montezuma Well. Volunteer Don Montgomery. From way down here, you can see the cliff dwellings even better.
So back at the top, we start walking around the rim and we come across some more cliff dwellings, only they're built at the top of the cliff.
This is a map of the floor plan of the rooms that once stood here. You see some of it here, but further down, you'll see a lot more.
Every time I see ruins like this, my imagination goes wild. What was life like for them? I try to picture these things fully constructed. How did they live inside of them? Did they have furniture? It's so interesting to think about. And at the bottom, we come to Wet Beaver Creek. Remember earlier when I said that the water from the well flows out into this creek? And here is the outlet. Water flowing from the well into the creek. Thanks for coming with us as we take a detour and find the Montezuma Castle and the Montezuma Well. It was a detour well worth taking. We'll see you on the next adventure.